Now we're going to start working on our second layer of the shade, which is the sheer layer. For this layer, I chose to use back channels and ladder tape. And the reason for that is just to show you how diverse this shade could end up being. You can mix and match different fabrication methods for the solid layer and for the sheer layer, or you can do anything you want. Sky is the limit. What else I would like to do is, when you have this shade raised all the way up, you may want to see just the solid layer and hide behind the sheer fabric. So right here I have staggered stacking on both layers, the solid and the sheer. But in our example, we're going to use ladder tape and without ring locks, so we can have a less stacking on the shade and hide completely behind the solid fabric when the shade is raised. Back to the math. So once again, the finished layer will have the same dimensions as the solid. 24 wide, 36 long. I'm gonna have the same skirt 4 inches. So that will leave us with 32 inches for the rest. And here we need another 2 inches to cover the headrail. All right. And on the top of everything, this layer will be reverse mount on the back of the headrail. So we have distance here, 36 minus 6 is 30. And to be able to cover that completely and hide it behind the solid fabric, I want to make the pleats a little smaller so they don't show up. And just luckily for me, 30 divides equal by 5. So we're gonna have distance of 6 inches between every pleat. And because we're gonna use back channels and ribs, this now would be the placement for the ribs and the channels, while here the placement for the ribs is between the rings. Now for this one, we're gonna have the ribs where the rings are. Okay, so we're gonna do the same amount of allowance at the top and the bottom. We have 36 altogether, 3 at the top, 3 at the bottom, plus 6. Let's not forget the channels. We're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 channels. 5 channels. I make them 1/2 inch wide, so that's 5 more inches. So the total cut length for our piece should be 28 wide by 47. 28 because we have 1 inch double seam on both sides. So 24 plus 2 plus 2, 28, 36 plus 3 at the bottom, 3 at the top, plus 5 for the channels. So to cut the sheer, we would like to use the equal grid because it is completely square, it doesn't shift around, and with the sheer you need a little bit more precision. Alright, so I'm going to lay it out. Beautiful, I can see through. So it's at 28 by 47. The center for the solid fabric was the white stripe. So we're gonna measure from the center of the line. So now that the fabric is squared, we can cut the length. First, For that, I'm going to be using this wonderful ruler from Julia Hash Design. It is specifically designed for Roman shades. It is 8 inches wide and it comes in 2 different lengths, 48 and 60 inches. And it's very heavy, quite thick acrylic. You can use it not only for shades but also for a weight bar when you work on panels, for example. So the center for my shade was right here at the white stripe, and it falls in beautifully exactly where I need it. So we're gonna measure 14 inches. Let's make it a little more secure. There we go. 47 would be right here. We're doing double fold 1 inch side hem. Flip it over. I use that ruler again to prevent it from shifting. There we go. Now to close those hems up, you can either stitch them or use any kind of glue. In my case, I'm going to be using the jewel stake once again. Easy peasy. This here is my signature. I always have 2 pins on my chest. let's square up this piece again. Good. And mark the channels. The first one will sit at 4 inches from the bottom, but at the bottom we have 3 more for the bottom hem. And then the thickness, the width of the channel itself is 1/2 inch. And I'm marking the crease line at the back. So that's going to be 4 plus 3, 7 plus 1/2 inch, 7.5 from the bottom. Let's mark this. 7.5 is right here. Oh, I love this grid. So next one will be 6 inches apart, but looking from the front, and on the back, we're talking about crease to crease again, that's going to be 7 inches precisely. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right here. Now, to ease your work at the sewing machine, you can press fold these creases, or you can just fold that at a table, whatever works better for you, or you can simply pin them. Either way, I'll just take my chance and go straight to the machine like that.
Hello, February 8th, Thursday. I will do my very best to assist you in any way I can. Let's do our best. Oil tank is full.
Alright, first we want to mark the distance from the needle for the width of our channels. It's going to be 1/2 inch. There you go. So pre-creasing the fabric definitely does help. I'd like to do the bottom hem now. So here we allowed 3 inches. And then do top stitch on the sewing machine again. Just a gentle press. Just change the bottom, the bobbin thread with the matching one. And I also would like to use this compensating feed. One other thing that I like to brag about is this fast changing bolt right here. You just push it and release the feed, and then push it and insert the new one. Really, really wonderful tool, because I like to use appropriate pressure feed for every different task. Okay.
Thank you for your hard work.
Now back to the table. I'd like to insert the ribs and then sew the rings, as well as the bottom bar. You can sew the rings ahead of time and then insert the ribs, but I like to insert the ribs first in case of, I have, just to make sure that I have enough room to sew the rings without catching anything else. Okay, I'm gonna slide in the white bar. And the rings, once again, remember, will be 4 inches from the side hem. Just gonna mark them. Before we put the ribs in. I like using ribs on sheared fabrics because this will help tremendously pleating the shade, because the fabric is so lightweight. Ribs definitely do help. And I know I said rings, but actually for the sheared portion of the shade we're going to be using ladder tape. So again, with the ladder tape you can sew rings, or you can simply stitch the ladder tape to it. Doesn't really matter. But because I said rings, I'm going to be sewing them. I'm using again the metal rings. And this time, instead of using the wax thread, we'll be using a matching terco thread. This is one of the best things in my workroom, because this thread is really very strong and has nice coating, and you don't need to pass too many times when you sew rings. And if you need matching colors, this thread is available in several shades through the marketplace. We need to cut the ladder tape as well. I cut them a little extra long. just gonna attach the rings along with the ladder tape. And like I said, you don't need this many passes. One good thing about the ladder tape is that it's spaced on every inch. So I just need to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I know exactly where my next ring falls in. Oh. And the reason I'm flipping it because I want to make the top hem, but it has to be folded this way towards the face because we're mounting this on the back of the headrail or reverse mount. And while I was doing the channels, the fabric shrunk a little bit. Maybe it's just gathering from the channels or whatnot. So it's not a bad idea to leave a little bit extra length. Okay, so now remember we need 36. That's going to be right here, and I can fold. Yeah, this fabric moves a lot, so I'm just gonna use some pins. And because this is not going to show from the front, we can use sew on Velcro and just stitch it on the top of this. And that's what I'm gonna do. Folding in one more time here, just to hide the raw edges. And then we're going to stitch some Velcro on the top. Okay, nice and square. I don't really have a sew on Velcro, so I'm going to be using this one, but we'll top stitch it. We haven't closed the opening here at the bottom hem and the channel, so I want to use a little bit of hot glue to do that. And now, because this is going to be reversed mounted shade, we need to do the grommets. For that, we need to measure 4 inches in and 4 inches down. It's right here. Alright, and because this is a lightweight fabric, I would like to reinforce it at the back for the grommets, and for that purpose I'm using tape from Wawak. It is fusing tape on bias. It doesn't matter, you can just use a piece of interlining, fusible interlining, of course. Got these small pieces, and we will glue them at the back. Right there in the center. I do have a press, but I find it a lot easier to use the hand tool for the shade specifically, because I don't have to move the shade all over where my press is. My press is permanently installed on a different table, and I don't like to move it much. Got this one. Let's use the white grommet with a washer.